This past Sunday, backstage at the Grammys, Jelly Roll, who had won Best Contemporary Country Album for his recently released Beautifully Broken, found himself in a bit of controversy when discussing his views about the current state of politics. I don't know why anybody would want to ask him that in the first place. However, he had this to say.
I can tell you that people shouldn't care to hear my opinion, man. You know, I'm a dumb redneck. I haven't watched enough. I didn't have a phone for 18 months. I've had one for 4 months and don't have social media. I hate to be the artist that's that aloof, but I've become so disconnected from what's happening. And I'm just not I grew up in a house of like insane pandemonium and like I didn't even know politics were real until I was in my mid-20s in jail. Like, that's how disconnected. When you grow up in a drug addict household, you think we like have common calls about what's happening in world politics? Like, we're just trying to find a way to survive, man, you know? And I have a lot to say about it, and I'm going to in the next week, and everybody's going to hear exactly what I have to say about it in the most loud and clear way I've ever spoken in my life. So I look forward to it. Thank you for bringing it up.
Now, this follows a very powerful Grammy acceptance speech in which he did attend this particular Grammy Awards ceremony. He did not last year.
I know they're going to try to kick me off here, so just let me try to get this out. First of all, Jesus, I hear you and I'm listening, Lord. I am listening, Lord. Second of all, I want to thank my beautiful wife. I would have never changed my life without you. I'd have ended up dead or in jail. I'd have killed myself if it wasn't for you and Jesus. I thank you for that. There was a time in my life, y'all, that I was broken. That's why I wrote this album. I didn't think I had a chance, y'all. There was days that I thought the darkest things. I was a horrible human. There was a moment in my life that all I had was a Bible this big and a radio the same size and a 6x8 foot cell. And I believed that those two things could change my life. I believed that music had the power to change my life and God had the power to change my life. And I want to tell y'all right now, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
However, some people were not happy that he had seemingly, quote-unquote, dodged the question, as some people have said he did. John Roca of the John Roca channel saying, quote, ridiculous. If this country was snatching up white dumb rednecks, his words not mine, from his neck of the woods, violating their civil rights, deporting them to foreign countries and murdering them in the streets, Jelly'd be marching like MLK and singing ballads of pain like Mahalia. White people can't afford to be aloof because what's going on right now isn't aimed at them. That's why we respect white allies who are standing up like Renee Good, Alex Reddy, white protesters, and many white artists who spoke out against it tonight because they don't have to and they do it anyway. He later doubled down on this viewpoint when saying later on, posting a picture of Jelly Roll meeting with President Donald Trump, saying, quote, Jelly, you've been pretty loud and clear about what you stand politically for a while now. Some of us were calling you out for lying about it last night, not because you have a different political opinion. And for the record, John Roca also made a comment about Ricky Gervais and what he said about political speeches after Grammys, seeing Bad Bunny and Billie Eilish slam ice, saying they are still not listening. John Roca had this to say, quote, the irony of a celebrity offering his opinion about how little people care about other celebrities' opinions. Musician, heal thyself. Also, it's not his white British community being snatched off the streets, so Gervais can kindly shut the expletive up and expletive on off with his repost. Though some others who are posting about the Jelly Roll comment are not doing what John Roca is saying about what Rick Gervais is doing. As you can see on your screen, several people are saying that he is now a part of MAGA and that he had voted for Donald Trump, even though he had just recently pardoned of his felonious conviction by Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. He can now vote in elections, just wasn't able to vote in the 2024 election, which seated Donald Trump back into office after a 4-year hiatus, thanks of course to the election of Joe Biden. And of course the quote in question is concerning the issues around ICE and the situation that is going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota as of the date of recording this episode. So before I go into my thoughts about this, congratulations to Jelly Roll and to Bad Bunny for their well-deserved Grammy wins, and good on Jelly Roll to make the speech about his own convictions and his own flaws and about how he was able to get out of them. And the idea that religion, whether it be Christianity or whatever, are not tied to any one political party. I hate it anymore that we are now in a situation where everything has to be tied to one particular political party. And if you are a Democrat, you cannot be caught identifying as a Christian. And if you're a Republican, you have to identify as a Christian. That is clearly not the case. But we have seen it time and time again, in which if you like the UFC for some reason, you are now a part of the right wing, the ultra right wing. Or if you like this game or that game, then you are of that political party, or you are quote unquote woke, or you are identified with woke, as if that word has also lost all of its meaning anymore. Such as the word grifter has lost all of its meaning anymore. We have overused everything and tried to tie everything to one or the other political party. Not to mention that there should not be a duopoly, and there are other political parties that are out there right now that should gain a foothold if they haven't already. So I don't understand this need to place a particular identity with a particular political party. Blair White is a transgender person, although she identifies as a Republican. And the last time I heard, she did vote for Donald Trump. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to vote as a registered Democrat with Democrats. If you feel as though a Republican has done a better job, then you have every right to cross the party line. So I commend Jelly Roll for saying that, but people were attacking him on that as well on X, which blows my mind. Now, let me get to what John Rocha is saying, as it is apparent that he took his tongue off of the boot of James Gunn long enough in order to actually say something like this. What it's basically saying, and what he and other people are basically doing, is putting a purity test onto Jelly Roll. That's what they're doing here. And Jelly Roll did the best that he could with that question, and he was, in my mind, truthful. Why did he ask him this question to begin with? What brought this on? What brought this reporter on to say, hey, what do you think about this ICE thing? Like, why do we care what he has to say? Not that I wouldn't be interested in the answer, but why does it matter to you what he said? You had 3/4, if not most, of the Grammy audience and the people who were going up and presenting the awards and people who were accepting the awards saying that they are against ICE. And that is a complicated situation in of itself. I don't want to get into it here because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, and I don't think anyone would like my answer to that. But to have the majority of those people who are at the Grammys be on your side, that wasn't enough for you. You got to have Jelly Roll's validation as well. Why did you feel the need to ask him this question? And then when he said, hey, you know what, I have no comment about it, I don't know much about it in order to make a comment, but I have watched it and I'm going to give you an answer soon. Why was that not good enough? And then you're putting this MAGA label if they don't have an opinion. What if I didn't have an opinion about it? What if I didn't follow it? What are you going to put on me? What kind of label are you going to put on anybody who decides, you know what, maybe I look at it through a more nuanced point of view? But again, we have this idea that it has to be the complete in lockstep opinion of one side or the other. And we can't have any nuance whatsoever. We can't say, oh, well, ICE was wrong in killing this person, but at the same time, this person made a poor decision that led to the possibility that something was going to happen that they didn't like happening to them. If that's not okay, then what is okay? Besides the complete within lockstep of the hive mind, of the echo chamber. Case in point, this whole idea that because he took a picture with Donald Trump and he took a picture with Kid Rock and company, that he suddenly agrees with their political position. When did that become a thing that we started to believe? When did that become a dog whistle that he agreed with any of their political belief? Not to mention his idea of a country Super Bowl next year, and this idea that he quote unquote purposely only named white country superstars to be featured in that country Super Bowl halftime show. Maybe he only said the people he knew, not that any of those country stars that he mentioned were racist to begin with or islamophobes to begin with, but I fail to see how you can arrive to that conclusion. Sounds like you're just trying to, again, put a purity test onto the guy and to people who enjoy his music, and that goes even before twisting what his words meant. And yes, they did do exactly that, parroting off of what John said. And that's not what we need right now. That's what got us to see Donald Trump be elected not once in 2016, but twice in 2024. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're saying. And it seems like everybody's ignoring that, and they're making more purity tests, which we are so tired of. We are so tired of these purity tests. Oh, well, what did you think about this? Why do you care what he thought? What made you need his validation? If you're secure about where you stand in your opinion, what does it matter what me or him or anybody else thinks of your opinion? If you're ready to defend it in a debate, if you're ready to defend it, if you think you are correct, then why do you need his validation? It seems to me that you're insecure about your opinion and you need every single person to be with you on it, not because you think it is morally or just or whatever, but because you feel insecure about your opinion and that you have a more nuanced take about it that you really want to say, but you're not allowed to say it. And for John Rocha, especially when we all know that he is part of this access media that's on YouTube right now that goes to these private interviews with James Gunn and people in Hollywood and people who want to get into this access media spectrum. And you know who I'm talking about, the people who complain every time Critical Drinker does so much as breathes and whines and cries whenever he has an opinion about something. We all know the real reason why you feel that you need his opinion, that you need Jelly Roll's opinion, because you need to find somebody that you can virtue signal off of. And the majority of people who are at the Grammys, who by the way cheered Jelly Roll when he made that speech at the Grammys, let's get that out of the way. I didn't see a single person that was booing him. I didn't see a single person sitting down when he was making that speech, when he was talking as if he was a preacher, which he probably could at some point in his life. You had to get your punches in because he was getting praise for that speech and he wasn't getting cut off even though he thought he was going to. So you have to get on the attack, and this was the one place where you thought you were going to get that kick in. And now we are doing this again where, like what happened in 2016, like what happened in 2017, apparently silence is compliance. You have to have your opinion. You have to verbalize your opinion, and it better be the correct opinion on every single front. You must be completely within lockstep, and if even one letter of what you say is wrong, we're coming after you. It is this type of rhetoric yet again. So why did you need his opinion? Why did you need that? And especially with somebody like John Rocha, who should know better, and he continues to push this whole thing. And then said what he said about Ricky Gervais as well, which everybody seems to follow his lead, like they did with the Jelly Roll thing. No, they didn't learn their lesson. I didn't see John Rocha complaining about Billie Eilish's thing about being on stolen land, even though she has a $1 million mansion or something. I know everybody on Fox News is saying the same thing, and you know what? It's okay to agree with people who are on the other side of the aisle than you are. It's okay to do that, because that was a dumb thing of her to say. When Bad Bunny made his speech and when he went down to get handshakes, the one person who did give him a handshake was Reba McEntire, a prominent conservative. As far as I'm aware, she's been pretty conservative all her life. And here is Bad Bunny, and she's telling him congratulations after he made the speech he made condemning it. So yeah, like Jelly Roll said, Christianity and God is not tied to any one political party, or any other religion is tied to any one political party. That is a thing that unfortunately the religious right back in the aughts, like the American Family Association, who focused on the family, decided to try to put, oh, well, we believe in God and you don't. Oh, who gave you that authority to say that? Who gave you that authority to say that, hey, Jesus and patriotism is monopolized by the right wing? That's what we thought we were past by now. And now we're seeing that the other side is doing what the religious right did back in the 2000s. We need to stop doing that. This is what we're talking about when we're saying we need to change the rhetoric from this, from these purity tests, from these constant things of you have to have an opinion and it better be the right opinion, which if he did say what his opinion is, which he might in the next week or so, if that's what he's going to do, what if he says the wrong opinion? What do you say at that point? Your guys are getting on them for basically just meeting with Donald Trump and mischaracterizing what he did when he met with Congress about the opioid epidemic. If I remember correctly, that's what it was. You're mischaracterizing that. So I don't think you were going to be happy no matter what he said. You're not going to be happy unless he's completely in lockstep with you, and I don't think it's going to be. So you might want to be ready for that. Though that's going to be more of a purity test. Is it, John Rocha? Maybe you need to take the advice that you gave to Ricky Gervais and go back to talking about James Gunn and being access media for him, because that's what you're most good at apparently. And as I said, congratulations to Jelly Roll. You definitely deserve that. I really like his music, I do. And for what I've seen out of him and some of the videos I've seen of him, he is a real one. He's one of the few people who have actually owned up to a lot of the stuff he's done and has been a really down-to-earth person. And we need more celebrities like him that are real, who are more down-to-earth. Congratulations to him and to Billie Eilish and to Bad Bunny, because they did deserve it, even though I don't necessarily agree with some of the things things that Billie Eilish said. I don't know what Bad Bunny said, but whatever. I definitely don't agree with John Roca said. But those are just some of my comments. What are yours? Please leave a comment down below. Please subscribe and ring the bell when you can so you'll never miss when I do a video like this. And take care of yourself and each other. And that is not tied to any one political party either. As always, to be continued.